Happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. In this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm. I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Dr. Ahmed Mansour. Ahmed,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. What a treat.
Thank you so much.
Now, when I met you years ago, I was on the tennis court.
Yes.
And I think we were doubles partner, and you were amazing, and I was how I normally am.
You are fantastic. You are a very good tennis player, my friend.
But since then, I'm guessing because of sort of the lessons you gleaned from being in proximity to me, you went on to like lots of tennis championships last year.
Well, last year, yeah, I got a little bit lucky. I won the Ulster Open. That was good. That was the highlight of the year.
And that's sort of in this area. That's the tournament, the Ulster County Open.
I think so. I think it's probably one of the bigger ones in the area. Yeah, it's played in the Kingston area, in the Kingston public courts, as well as the Kingston High School courts.
And you
every year.
Won the doubles and the singles. Is that right?
We won. No, I played the singles this year.
Oh, okay.
Only I played the singles. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't play the doubles. My doubles partner Bill Blake had moved to Colorado a few months earlier, so I didn't play much double. I played doubles with another good friend of mine, Joe Luzzi, but that was in the Woodstock Open, the clay courts in Woodstock. Yeah.
And how'd you do in the Woodstock Open?
We reached the final, and we lost to two good friends, Tate Rubenstein and Matt Guido. They got the best of us in that match. But
that's funny.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked Matt and Bill Blake and a bunch of other tennis guys for dirt on you, and one of them I want to say, who said, well, he's a wonderful guy, maybe double faults too much, and often isn't on time. So when it got to be like 4:51 I'm like, oh fuck! I hope he's on time.
Yeah,
and you were.
Yes. Thank you. I ran right out of work and just tried to meet it on time. So I'm glad I made it on time. Yeah. It's it's hard with the dentistry business. It's hard to finish work and be completely done. Sometimes there are emergencies, procedures take a little bit longer and whatnot. But
and you say dentistry business, but what you do primarily is orthodontics and prosthodontics.
Correct. So yeah, I practice primarily as an orthodontist. I'm a dual trained prosthodontist, orthodontist. Prosthodontics is the branch of dentistry that deals with restoring missing teeth. Prosthetics, basically. So it's implants and dentures and crowns and whatnot. Bridges, yeah, definitely. So that was my initial training, and then right after that, I did a residency program in orthodontics, so braces, Invisalign, all that kind of stuff. And then I've been just focusing on like my practice is orthodontics until maybe about 3 years ago. My brother-in-law, who's a prosthodontist, He joined me on a part-time basis. He has a practice in the city in Manhattan, so he comes up here once, a couple times a month, and we do prosthetic work together, place implants, and
So when you say together, are you both looking in the same mouth at the same time?
So sometimes I'll do the screening for him or the diagnostics, and then he will come in. He'll talk to the patient about what's needed, and then sometimes he starts the procedure. He'll place the implant, and then I would restore it, or sometimes vice versa. But we are rarely working together in the same mouth at the same time. But in conjunction, like we communicate. Yeah.
What a treat. Your brother-in-law does that. Yes. So have you learned a lot from him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a couple of years older than me, so he was actually my senior in my prosthodontic training program. He was a couple of years ahead of me, and he was my instructor. And so I've known him for a long time, and I've always learned from him. He's very skilled, great hands. Good, nice practice in the city, and he brings that knowledge up here.
So orthodontics, prosthodontics are specialties that you go into after dental school.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. You have to finish your dental school training, which is 40 years post-college, here in the U.S. at least. It's different in other parts of the world. In the United States, it's 40 years of college. You get your bachelor's degree, and then dental school is 40 years. And then after that, If you wish to become a specialist in a certain discipline, like a root canal specialist or an oral surgeon or an orthodontist, then you have to do an extra training, which is typically about an extra 2 years of training.
So is it 2 years each for you for orthodontia and prosthodontia?
Yeah, actually the prosthodontic process is 3 years, so it's 5 years of post.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
that's a lot of school.
It is a lot of school, and actually I did even another specific residency. The state of New York is a little interesting in terms of licensure. So because I'm originally from Egypt and my dental degree is from Egypt, I was required to do a specific general dentistry, advanced training in general dentistry to get my license in the state of New York. So plus those 5 years, I did another 2 years of residency training, a specific program that the state of New York requires to get your license in New York. So it's really a total of 7 postgraduate years post dental school.
And is it just for people outside of the U.S., or if like you came here from Tennessee, would you have to do that? Is it a state thing, or
no? Because my undergrad, my DDS, my Doctor of Dental Surgery degree was from Egypt. I had to do that specific 2-year program. But had I been trained in the U.S., like in, let's say, NYU or UCLA or whatever, I would have had to do only 1 year of residency for New York. So the interesting thing about dentistry laws in the U.S., it's not like the car. Like you move, you have a driver's license, you move from New York to California or to Texas or whatever. You go, you hand your license, they give you another one. Even though it's the same, human beings are the same. They have 32 teeth. The anatomy is the same. Everything is the same. But the requirements for licensure is very much different from one state or the other. So there are some states, for example, that don't even accept anyone with a foreign undergrad degree. And there are some that require a year of training. Some accept specialties, some don't. So there are some states where I could have worked with my orthodontic degree and I wouldn't have to go back and do general dentistry.
But now can you take your degrees anywhere in the U.S.?
Not any, most states. Like
Okay.
I would say probably a good 35 out of the 50 states, 40 states maybe, but there are some that are like super restrictive. Some of them do require an extra licensure examination,
Right.
That you will have to either do on a live patient, like or on a model, like.
And why? Why do they do that? Just to like make a few extra bucks?
Yes. I think so.
What a pain in the butt.
Every time you want to take the it's $2,000
Right.
times I don't know how many students are taking it, so it's
Right.
yeah, good chunk of change.
Right, but you're not moving anywhere. You're here. You're stuck to Rhinebeck.
I'm here in New York. Well, actually, you were asking me about my wife Lily earlier. So we are kind of like right now we're in a state of flux. We're between New York and Florida, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So Lily accepted a very nice job in Johns Hopkins in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh wow.
So actually, I am, just because I don't know how things are gonna transpire, but I want to be like, if I have to go and open up another branch of my offices in Florida, I want to be able to practice there if I want to. So I'm actually in pursuit of my licensure examination in Florida. But yeah, I mean, my offices are here. My business is primarily here.
Right.
So right now we're kind of like, it's an interesting situation because for years she worked for Albany Med.
Right.
And it was, besides the commute, a good hour and change one way. And she had to do like three or 4 days a week. But also, it wasn't like really the ideal fit for her. And she's done that for 12 years. And
she's a physician of some sort.
She is. She's a pediatric rheumatologist.
Right.
Yeah.
So is she in Florida? Like,
yeah, actually,
full-time?
right now we are. The family is kind of like split right down the middle. So she is in Florida with my son Yusuf, who is
Okay.
also a tennis player. He's 15. He's in 9th grade, and so they are down there in Florida. And myself and Maya, my daughter, who's turning 14 in a month. We are here in New York.
and how often are all four of you together?
Every couple weeks. Usually no more than 2 weeks go by. We're either down there for the weekend.
Right.
I usually don't work Fridays. Today was an exception, so we can go there for a long weekend, or they come up here. So,
right.
Yeah. So for the time being, that's our arrangement.
And they probably don't come up here during January and February. I think going down there seems like the better idea.
It sounds like the better idea, but believe it or not, they do come up. They do come up and connect with friends and
so how are the kids dealing with us? It's an interesting arrangement.
Yeah, they're actually adapting really well. I mean, Yusuf is really liking it down there. He gets to play tennis almost every day, so I'm envious. Here we have to go indoors during that time of the year. Maya's doing well in school and she likes it. She's fairly popular, has a lot of friends, so we're doing well. She's adapting.
Well, it's very interesting. Good luck working all that out.
Thank you.
So the certification for you to practice in Florida is just sort of like nothing. I mean, you've done all of the work before.
It is.
Will you study for it?
It's interesting. Yeah, I have to. I'm in the process of taking some certification exams. So actually, lucky enough that with COVID, you are no longer required to. It used to be before COVID times, you would have to find a patient, a live human being with cavities and gum disease and whatnot, pay them to go to the exam. And then it was quite the nightmare. So since COVID, they restricted the examination on a mannequin, like fake teeth and whatnot that resemble human teeth. So at least you don't have to worry about finding the person and paying them and making sure they show up.
And how would you find a person like that? Through another dentist,
through another dentist. If you are a practicing dentist, probably from one of your own patient pool, you can ask them if they want to participate in that. If you're a student about to graduate, that's usually not a problem because educational facilities, they have a huge pool of patients. But yeah, you have to find a specific patient with a specific, it's not just any cavity. It has to be a certain dimension. It's very stringent, very difficult.
Right.
So I'm happy that it's at least on a mannequin, on fake teeth. So you can guarantee that they're going to show up. And
so do you have a mannequin of your own at home to practice on?
Yeah.
Does it have a name?
Not yet.
You didn't name it?
Not yet.
I'm guessing it's just a head, right? You don't need
exactly
anything more than that.
Yeah, you tie it into the dental chair and pretend that it's a patient and open wide, please.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So what is the best part of your job?
The best part of my job, I think the rewarding part is the finished product.
Right.
Whatever it's the orthodontics or the prosthodontic part is giving someone a nice, beautiful smile, and in a lot of cases, it's actually life-changing for a lot of people.
Right.
Especially the more complicated cases when it's let's say it's a combined surgical orthodontic approach. Sometimes the growth of the upper and lower jaw is not really harmonious, and they need a combined surgical orthodontic approach, and it's life-changing for a lot of people. It changes their profile, their smile, their self-confidence. That's one of the things why I encourage a lot of the young adults to if you need to be confident about your smile, because actually studies have shown that if you smile, you smile a lot, you're happy, you're confident with your smile, it gives you a boost. You wanna do more and study more and go further in life. So that's the part that I'm happy about, and I bump into a lot of my patients here. Some of the younger kids, they'll take the summer jobs, they work in local restaurants, and then you see them and they're beaming and smiling, and it was nice because actually the two kids that won best smiles in the local school, in the yearbook and whatnot, I'm like, yeah, I know that that's my smile. So it was nice. That's very rewarding.
And you're smiling as you say that, and I see you've got perfect teeth.
Oh, thank you.
They're just gorgeous. Have they always been perfect, or did you have work done when you were younger?
I was lucky enough to not have to go through orthodontics.
Right.
And that's usually, I won't say it's a rarity, but it's I'm lucky to not have to go through orthodontic treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you first decided to go into dental school, did you think you wanted to specialize in that?
No, not really. It was, for me, it was just I liked sciences and biology and whatnot, so it was going to be dentistry, maybe medicine, something related to biology and medicine and whatnot. We had the distant relative who was an oral surgeon, so I kind of talked to him about what's life like to be a dentist, and he's like, well, it's rewarding, but it's also hectic and could be stressful and all that kind of stuff. But I decided to go in, and I liked it. I liked the pre-dental school part very much, because it was an extension of high school. For me, it was more, the anatomy and chemistry and biochemistry and stuff that I really enjoyed. I liked it. You do a lot of work with your hands. Dentistry is a lot of, it's science, but it's also art.
Right.
And, there's a little art to it, and it was fun.
And so you say it was an extension of high school. At what age did you begin the pre-dentistry studies?
So in Egypt, the system is such that when you finish high school, you don't necessarily have to go to pre-dental or pre-med for like 40 years, like here in the US. You can just go to dental school right away, depending on your grades. If you have good grades, usually every year admission time, the colleges or the schools would announce what is the minimum grade that they would accept in your high school diploma for you to be accepted in that school. So for example, medicine will say, okay, we accept 90% and over, or 85% and over. So as dentistry, engineering and whatnot. So I had decent grades, and I had the option of really, I could have gone to whichever school I wanted. I could have gone to medicine or engineering or this or that. So dentistry was my first choice, and I matched, and then I got in. And it's interesting because I was fairly young. I was one of the youngest kids in my class.
How old were you?
I started dental school, I was almost 17.
17.
Yeah. I was very young. Very, very young.
Right. And how old are people typically when they start dental school?
Maybe
in
18.
Egypt.
Maybe
Okay.
18. So I was a year younger. And then it's 6 years. So by the age of 22, I was done, and got my license to practice in Egypt. And you have to do like sort of like a civil service, training program before you get your licensure there. So that's like 1 year after dental school, and I did that, and then I decided I want to come to the United States to pursue my postgraduate training, having known a lot of people who had gone down that path, and being from a family that values education very much. That was kind of like a no-brainer,
And was that unusual in Egypt or in Cairo for your family to value education so much?
No, I wouldn't say it's uncommon, but in our family it was the emphasis on getting a post-grad degree of sorts, especially outside of Egypt. That's where I see maybe our family was focusing more on that. Like I have some friends who did their postgraduate training and their specialty training, but they did it in Egypt. For us, my parents wanted to always send me away and just live in another country, get the experience and whatnot. And I had some family members that had gone similar paths. So I have a cousin with an engineering degree from Stanford. I had my mom's 2 younger brothers. One has a PhD from McGill, and the other has a PhD from MIT. So, great schools and
had your folks studied abroad as well?
My father had a master's degree from Paris, from Sorbonne in Paris. He was a lawyer.
Okay.
Both my parents are gone. They're not around
Sorry.
anymore. They passed away. Yeah, thanks. So my dad was a lawyer, and he started in criminal law first, prosecutor in criminal law, and then for whatever reason he decided to go into corporate law, and he did his master's degree in Paris. They lived there in the 60s, late 60s, 67, 68, something like that, for a couple of years. Then went back to Egypt. My dad started practicing as a corporate lawyer.
Okay.
And my mom is a professor of economics and political science, and she was a teacher. And they did it for a long time. And my father, after he ended his career as a lawyer, he started teaching part-time in the American University in Cairo.
Okay.
He taught corporate law.
Nice.
Yeah. So
and so they lived in Egypt their whole lives?
Yeah. They lived in Egypt. They lived in Cairo. We're from Cairo.
Right. Yeah. And what was it like growing up in Cairo?
It was great.
I mean, I've been there. It's a huge, bustling, busy, frenetic city.
I know. I when people say New York is the city that never sleeps, I'm like, come to Cairo and you really know.
Cairo's the city that makes the noise that keeps New York awake.
Yeah. Cairo, you can have a full meal and drinks and whatever at 3 a.m. if you want.
And so, what was that like? Did you have siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
Okay. Yeah. But you had friends and you're going out in the town, I guess, finding trouble.
Yes.
What did trouble look like growing up in metropolitan Cairo?
You can, if you want to get in trouble, you can get in trouble in Cairo. Yeah.
Yeah, but what kinds? I mean, I know what kinds of trouble there are here in the U.S.
Yeah, so for us, I mean, I think the most trouble would be like just go and have a couple of beers with your friends and whatnot. I don't know compared to nowadays. I think now it's like, could be you can get yourself into more and more trouble. But just go around and have a few drinks here and there, and of course you're always interested in females and the nightclubs and go dancing and this and that, but nothing too bad. I mean, I never got really into significant trouble where my parents would have to go and get me from the police station or anything like that.
and what if they had to do that? Would they have been really upset? Would they have been mad at you?
I think so. I think my parents always expected me to always behave and perform, especially my mom.
Right.
My dad was maybe a little more lenient. My mom was the one that was always on top of me with my grades and my school performance and all that. And
that's sweet. That sounds fairly typical.
I think so. I think she was also. So I'm an only child, and my parents had me after 15 years of marriage. So for her, it was like, she was like, all the focus was on me so much. So I kind of broke loose in dental school. That was like my get out of all that.
Well, in high school, I mean, the story is that your dad taught you to play tennis at age 6, and you just took to it.
Yeah,
and played tennis nonstop as much as you could, practicing 3 or 5 times a week, 2 hours at a spell.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I actually had done more during the week. So a part of I did practice midweek, but some of my friends practice even more. Most of the tennis that I did was actually more on weekends and during the summertime. So the way it goes in Egypt is there are these clubs. You can call them it's like a country club or a private club, but it's not like super exclusive. Like anyone middle class or above can join these clubs. It's fairly accessible, and within that club you have access to tennis, squash, track and field, golf, like so many sports under one roof. That's what I grew up in Cairo, and we belonged to it was called the Gezira Sporting Club. And it was about maybe a 10-minute drive from our house.
And it was on an island?
Yes. Yes.
In the middle of the Nile.
The Nile, yeah. Zamalek is in the right in the middle of the Nile. Yes. Yeah.
That sounds kind of lovely.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Do you get back to Egypt at all?
I do. I usually try to make a trip like once a year. Usually during the summer. Summer is it's hot. It's hot and humid. So usually we'll go, spend a couple of days and in Cairo, and then we'll go to the beach, the Mediterranean beaches. That's really nice. So yeah, that's where the family vacations. So I get to see my cousins and distant relatives. And
it sounds great. And so, do the kids enjoy going there?
Oh yeah, they love it.
14 and 15, they're just the age where they might start to revolt, like, we don't want to go.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because they like it. They they don't speak the language. They don't have a huge attachment to the culture per se, but they like going there. They like seeing their distant cousins and aunts and uncles, and they love the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. And are they proud of their heritage?
I think so. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, they are, and it's it's a dual heritage because I'm from Egypt and my wife is from Costa Rica. So every year we make a trip to Egypt and one trip to Costa Rica, and they're attached to both. They really like both.
Not too shabby.
Yes,
those 2 trips every year.
We are lucky. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And so do the kids? I'm guessing they have cousins and aunts and uncles in Costa Rica as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they have some cousins in the city, actually, in New York City, and they have cousins in Costa Rica. So,
and do they speak any of that language, Spanish?
They do speak Spanish, decent Spanish, above average. Because my mother-in-law lives with us, and she is not very good with English.
That's fine. Her English how's your Spanish?
It's good. It's conversational. I can survive in a Spanish speaking country if I have to.
Right.
So I can
cerveza free.
I can go to Costa Rica and function and
That's great. And how was it having the mother-in-law? You don't have to answer any of these questions, by the way.
I'm lucky. I have a great mother-in-law. She's very nice. She helps us a lot with the kids. Takes care of the kids, and I have no issues with her whatsoever. She's great.
And is she here in Rhinebeck or is she in Florida?
No, she is. She is in Rhinebeck. She helps me with my daughter. So she is here.
That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Egypt. You take up tennis at age 6. Was your dad a very good tennis player? Was he a
decent tennis player? So my dad is the person that brought the sports culture into our house. So, for example, I have most of my cousins. The rest of the family, they're not really into sports and whatnot. So, it was the influence of my father. He grew up. He was a bodybuilder actually initially.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
What kind of weight class?
I can't say. He was.
Was he like Schwarzenegger or like smaller?
I don't think to that extent.
Right.
But he was my height, but he was big.
Right.
So that was his first love, if you will. But he's fairly athletic, so he picked up tennis, he played squash, he played golf, he also swam a lot, which is something that he did until his very last breath. He would go, I think, just the day before he passed away. He's the type that wakes up at 5 a.m. He's in the pool, swims laps. So yeah, he was the person that brought the sports into our life. And he taught me tennis, and I loved it. That's all I wanted to do. I picked up other sports, but later on, actually in New York. But growing up, tennis was the only thing I wanted to do. Like my parents would say, "Do you want to do karate or go swimming or whatever?" I'm like, "No, tennis. That's all I wanted to do is play tennis." Yeah,
and it worked out. I mean, you were consistently ranked in the top 10 as a junior.
I was one of the top, actually, maybe 10 to 15 players in Egypt. I traveled during the summer representing Egypt, and it was mostly in Europe, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, playing junior tournaments.
And did you think at that point in time maybe of turning pro?
I would have loved to. That was probably my dream job.
Right.
But I didn't get much support, unfortunately. And I love you, Mom. You're not here to defend yourself, but I have to say that she definitely was pulling me more towards the academics.
Right.
So I didn't get enough, training during the week under my belt to want to. It was always like, hey, you don't focus so much on tennis because that will never be a career for you. That will never be you have to study and get good grades and go to college and be a professional and get a degree and whatnot. I'm like, well, I can do that too, but let me try the tennis, because the tennis you really have a very small window where you can do things,
right.
and maybe think of turning pro, but you can always, if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to school.
Yeah.
So that would have been ideally my, I would have liked to try to do, or at least play college, which unfortunately I didn't get a chance to do that. So the focus was a lot more on academics. But
well, if you were one of the top 15 players as a junior, I would think that playing in college would have been a path that was open to you.
Yes, I think so.
But you didn't do it.
I did not pursue that. No.
Okay.
No, unfortunately. Yeah.
Right. And are you working on your game now? I mean, now you're like 40 or 50 or whatever. Do you continue to?
I'm 51. I turned 51 a month ago.
Okay.
I do. I do work on my game as much as I'm watching. Let me tell you, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. A lot of just. I'm watching. The only thing pretty much I watch at home is tennis. I watch the pros. I see how they do things and try to copy them. And
right. And supposedly, I'm trying to see if I can find this. You learned your one-handed backhand by watching Steffi Graf.
The slice backhand, yes.
Oh, the slice not
backhand,
the top
specific,
spin.
Not the top spin. So, because for the longest time, I really didn't have a top spin backhand. The two-handed backhand at the time that I started was kind of like a new thing. The majority of players at that time had a one-handed backhand.
Right.
And the technique for a one-handed topspin is a lot more complicated. So for the longest time, I could only hit a slice. And that was mostly by following, you're right, Steffi Graf. And then there was a French coach that lived in Cairo, and he belonged to our club, and he was a very good coach, and he coached me and another French kid, Sebastian, I remember his name, and he taught Sebastian how to hit a two-handed backhand, and he taught me how to hit a one-handed backhand, and he was adamant, like, okay, you have to hit a one-handed and you have to hit a two-handed backhand. I don't know why he
Oh yeah, I want to know why.
I don't know why, but he is the one that actually helped me develop my one-handed topspin, and yeah.
And how is it now? You get a lot of topspin.
It is good. You know what's interesting? My daughter recently picked up tennis 2 years ago, not even, and she likes to hit a two-handed backhand. So I don't know much about it. So actually, I started teaching myself how to hit a two-handed backhand to be able to help her, and I'm liking it. I mean, there are in the world of tennis, it is at a higher level of play, whether it's high amateur or pro or whatever. A one-handed backhand has its disadvantages. It is a beautiful shot. It's probably arguably the most beautiful shot in tennis, but it's harder to hit high topspin balls to your backhand, and it requires tremendous footwork, which is probably one of my weaker sides. It is easier to handle things with the two-handed backhand. So I started actually just learning how to hit it. For me also, it was a challenge, like, hey, this is something I don't know how to do, so let's learn how it's done.
Right.
So I've been dabbling with that for the past 2 or 3 months.
And do you ever, I guess you bring it out in games? You'll have some games.
I'm starting to really use it, like hit a two-handed backhand. So I'm starting to kind of figure it out. I'm liking it.
Are you? And what are you liking about it?
I like you can take the ball early. You can hit with a more open stance. Again, you know, if your footwork is not perfect, I think you can get away with a two-handed backhand more than a one-handed.
So would you say you're transitioning to a two-handed backhand?
Kind of, yeah. So I'm still like in between, but I'm so far I'm liking things.
So in one game you might have both.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Sometimes I'll hit whatever. Yeah.
I love that. I want to watch us. All right. So which pro has two questions? The prettiest one-handed backhand, because it really is a lovely stroke. And which pro has the most effective one-handed backhand?
I think I'll have to go with Federer.
For prettiest.
Yeah.
He's a gorgeous player.
Yeah, beautiful. I miss him. I miss watching him. From the current players, I think I'll probably have to go with Wawrinka.
Yeah.
Yeah, another beautiful one-handed backhand.
Yeah. And they're both, what are they, Swiss?
Yeah.
Did they study with the same people?
I don't think so.
It's funny because Wawrinka's one-handed backhand is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like his fellow countrymen. How did those two people come out of?
I think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm going to go with that. So, and who's your favorite overall player right now?
That's interesting because I am starting to really like Djokovic.
Oh no!
Yeah, a lot of people see. Yeah, they're shaking their heads. I know. My daughter would kill me right now. She does not like. She gets a fit when she sees him on the TV.
Yeah.
So here is the thing. The reason I say this is because Djokovic is a perfect example of someone who, I mean, besides the antics and his history and the conflict and his parents and all that, when you look at how he approaches the game and his work ethics, I mean, the guy is like, what, 36 now? And he's beating people half his age, like beating them like convincingly. And he just works on his game, super disciplined, diet, exercise, stretching, constantly stretching, takes care of himself, works on his game. So work ethics like nobody's business, and it shows. So I as much as maybe he's not really the most likable person, but when you watch him, you cannot help but applaud. It's like really incredible what he's doing. Plus, I like history to be made. So whenever I'm watching, like, okay, someone is on the verge of like getting that record for Grand Slams or winning 5 in a row, US Open 5 in a row or whatever. I like that. I like to see history being made.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, he might be the most sort of like famously like least likable player out there.
Yeah, I actually wish that he was able to get the crowds to be more loving to him. The other day, actually in the Australian Open 2 days ago, I think he was being heckled by a fan, and he just turned around, like after taking it for a while, he just turned to the fan and he said, "Hey, come down and tell it to my face. Like, you really have a problem? Just come down and say it to my face."
Well, so, I love that.
Yeah, I get that. I'm like, just don't do that, because that's the kind of stuff that people hate you for. Like, people don't want to necessarily see that kind of confrontational.
But I mean, it's for the longest time there was, the fans were very polite at all these tournaments, and in the last 10, 15 or 20 years, they've started like yelling and whooping, hollering, and calling out shit like that.
Yeah,
and it's a shame.
Yeah. I think the crowds are yes, they're less behaved than they used to be. I don't know. I don't want to blame the French for it, but I think in the French Open and Roland Garros, this is really like what really gets rowdy. So, but the Australians are loud too, and I think the American crowds are kind of catching on now.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a generational thing or if it's. I don't know. It changed a little bit.
Right.
But,
well, the U.S. Open played in New York City.
Yeah.
Those people are not going to be out heckled.
Correct.
By a bunch of frogs or Aussies. Like, they will rise to the occasion.
Yes.
And then it's just going to snowball, which is a real shame. It's a big loss for the sport.
Yeah. Well.
Huh. And so do you go see much live tennis?
I try. I mean, the tournament that I've always gone to see is the U.S. Open. So I have to say that I have not missed one U.S. Open since 1999.
Wow!
Except for the pandemic year, 2020, where no fans were allowed. But
oh right, I remember that.
Yeah, so it's in our backyard here. It's a 2-hour drive, and we usually go for the Labor Day weekend.
Right.
You take the family and we go, and it's awesome.
Cheers! Here's the perfect attendance record.
Yeah.
As is the tradition here, you brought a cocktail for us to enjoy. Tell us what you got.
So I got a few things here. We have old fashioned, ready-made old fashioned, and ready-made Manhattan. You told me you like Manhattan, so I'm like, hey,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
and it's delicious. Manhattan comes in a tiny little can from the Tip Top brand. There's a giraffe wearing a top hat. So when you were a kid, you grew up. I looked up this club. Was it Gazira Club?
Yeah.
And they had a lot of grass courts.
No, it was clay. Actually,
it was clay.
Yeah, it was clay.
Somehow I thought it was grass.
Clay. No,
so you grew up playing on clay.
Yeah, red clay. Like the French Open, like Roland Garros. But interestingly, I think I since I've been living here in the U.S. for actually more years than I lived in Egypt now, I enjoy playing on hard courts. I think it suits my game more. I mean, I like to hit the ball really hard. I'm an aggressive, fast-paced player, so I like the hard courts. But yeah, I grew up on red clay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you like the hard courts because they're faster and you can play more aggressive?
Yeah, I think I like the surface. I like it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So I looked on your Facebook. There was a video of your boy hitting a one-handed backhand.
Yes.
And then you said just now that your daughter plays as well.
My daughter plays, yes.
What a treat.
Yeah, thank you.
That must be really fun for you.
Yes, it is. I'm happy that she picked it up because for the longest time she was kind of opposed to tennis. Like, hey, my older brother likes tennis, so I hate tennis, that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, that sibling rivalry. But then she, a lot of her friends, I think they play and they like it, and she started watching the pros and especially the women pros, and she's like, wow, I like that. So
and who does she like? What pros does she like?
Oh, she likes. She definitely likes Serena. She likes Osaka. She likes. I think all the American girls. She loves Coco Gauff.
Right. And your son, is he a fan of any particular players? Does he like Djokovic as well?
No. So this is the fight that's happening
that's
at
right,
home
you
now.
said.
Like, I think I am the only person that would, be okay with Djokovic winning, whereas my kids are like, nah, we don't want that.
So you were admiring Djokovic's work ethic. What do you do, to try and instill that in your kids? It's a tough question for any parent and kids of any ilk and interest.
Yeah, I just tell them, hey, see what this guy is doing, right? Just copy him. It's, it is hard. It is tough. I think that the discipline part, it's a personality thing. And I don't know if it's something you probably can teach yourself to be more disciplined. If you read a lot of those self-help books and whatnot, you probably can teach yourself a little bit of that. But I think a big part, like when I look at the pros, whether Djokovic or someone else, I think what really sets them apart is their intense desire to compete and be better. They're like they just want it so bad, and it becomes an obsession.
Right.
And they end up doing it.
And do you see any of that in your kids? And if you did, would you be happy?
I would like to. I'm very proud of my kids, and I think they're getting there. I would like to see more of that.
Do they know? Are they listening tonight? Is this news to them that you would like to see more of that?
No, I think they know that. So it's hey guys, if you're listening, yes, this is Daddy saying it again. Just keep working hard, and yeah. And
did you have that when you were young? You must have to have been that good.
I did. I love tennis so much, and it was like it was the only thing on my mind. Like I said, I didn't really want to even consider playing another sport. Like we play soccer. Soccer is super famous. Like it's a big sport in Egypt, like it is in most of the world. So you play soccer in school, and in the club where we play tennis, it would be like, hey, we just practice for 3 hours. Let's take a break. Let's go play soccer. That kind of thing. But no, my focus was always the tennis, and I always loved it, and that's the only thing I wanted to do. My room was like nothing but like from floor to ceiling posters of the pros of that time.
Which pros were those? Who did you like back then?
McEnroe, for sure.
Super brat.
Yeah, bad boy. But,
But so McEnroe, who else?
McEnroe, Pat Cash, Ivan Lendl, Steffi Graf.
It's funny.
Yeah,
I'm imagining the 14-year-old boy's room with all these posters all around.
Yeah. My room was littered, like the wall was like all posters, one next to the other. Yeah, it was.
And so, did you have a break? Did you stop playing tennis at some point during your studies?
So with knowing that, okay, I'm not gonna go to college. I'm not gonna play tennis in college, and I'm not gonna turn pro. Once I made it to dental school, and other things, you want to spend more time with your friends, and you're studying, but also you want to party, and you want to have a social life and a girlfriend, and so the tennis was put aside for a while. And
but did the intensity and dedication carry on into this new pursuit?
Into the pursuit for dentistry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the pursuit of a good professional career, that I was like, yeah, sure. Like I loved dental school, and I had good grades and all
your
that.
mom must have been very happy.
My mom was very happy, very proud.
Right.
She took her foot off the pedal at that point. I was like, okay, I'm in dental school. I need to be more independent. So,
all right. Well, the pedal. What did that look like? How did that manifest? Her with the foot on your pedal.
It's what kind of homework do you have, and are you done, and are you not done, and are you ready for this test? And it's just too too intense.
Are either you or Lily that way as parents?
So.
Don't forget your kids are listening.
Yes, I am not like that, because I guess the I don't want to say the trauma, but the personal experience made me kind of go the other way, where I was like, you know what, I don't want to hear it. Like, it's not that I don't care that they pass or get good grades.
Right.
Of course I do, but I am definitely not on top of them.
Right.
At all. So I have to give credit to Lily that she's, if there is one that is more on top of things,
foot on the pedal of their children.
I wouldn't say so. She's great with that.
But she must be pretty intense and have a great work ethic too. I mean, you don't go through med school by being a slacker.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
right.
She does. So she tries to instill some of that in them. But yeah, of the two of us, she's probably the one that is paying more attention to like what kind of assignments are due, and talk to the teachers, and
right.
stuff like that.
That's great. Well, God bless her. It's nice to have a parent who's really involved in the nuts and bolts and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important. I mean, it's important to know what your kids are up to and where do they stand in life,
and what else are they into apart from tennis?
What else are they into? So Maya is she's very girly, very artsy. She's into fashion and dressing and jewelry and this and that. So I don't know. I think that could be some kind of a career for her. And they're both actually also explored or dabbled a little bit with theater and acting, and I didn't even know that this is a talent they had until I saw their play and their performance. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
Were they both in the same play?
No, different plays, but both were very impressive in terms of like how they remembered their lines, and it's not just like like spitting your like it's how they embody the character, and just the way they say their lines or sing the song or move or I was very impressed as a father. I'm like, wow, I didn't know you had that kind of talent.
What a treat. What a happy thing to be surprised like that about this innate talent in your kids.
Definitely.
And where are they in school?
So Yusuf now is in Shorecrest.
Okay.
In
Florida, right?
Yeah, in Shorecrest, and he was actually always one of the youngest kids in the class here in Rhinebeck. And then when he moved down there, we had him repeat ninth grade again, because we thought he was always, like I said, one of the youngest kids. So we thought for him, maturity wise and whatnot, he'd do well, and he did, and he really likes it. So he's in ninth grade in Shorecrest, and my daughter Maya is in Duchess Day.
Okay.
She's in 8th grade.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, we did that with our kid Daisy, my oldest kid.
Yeah.
She was December 30th, and January 1st was the cutoff. She was always the youngest and smallest in her class. And the teacher said, well, maybe she'd like to not be the youngest and smallest. Yeah. And so she did 1st grade over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think if any parents are listening, I think a good, like, if your kids are like on that borderline, keep them behind, make them one of the bigger kids in the class. I think socially it's better for them.
Right. And also, I mean, she's gone on to a lot of sort of academic success. Mm-hmm. It didn't affect the way she thought about herself. Like, oh, I'm like being held back or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No. They Maya is one of the older kids in the class, so that was not an issue for her. For Yusuf, I think he's enjoying it. He now likes to be one of the bigger kids in the class.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you and Dr. Liliana Barrias meet?
So we met in Rochester, where I did my post-grad training. She was visiting there, and
so post-dental school training.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was a resident at the hospital there.
No, she was just visiting her sister, and then we met. Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, in Rochester.
But where in Rochester?
In the program, in the school itself.
Okay.
So I just bumped into her, and
she was visiting, like walking down the hallway one day.
Yeah. She was sitting at a desk, and that's it. And I came into the room, and then we we looked at each other, and that was it.
You had a moment. Your eyes met.
Yes.
and you felt the electricity.
Yeah.
And so did you go over and introduce yourself?
I did.
What did you say? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly, but we started chatting, and
does she remember exactly?
Maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe she remembers the exact conversation, but it was we chatted a little bit, and then we got a chance to meet one other time, and and then we spoke. We had a long distance, talking on the phone for a while.
And where was she out of?
So she was still in Costa Rica doing her studies. So she that's where the long distance comes in, and we were talking long distance. And then she finished her medical school degree, and then she came to the U.S. to do her postgrad training, and that's when we got together.
Huh. But you kept in touch over years, it sounds like.
A year and a half, maybe 2 at the most.
Uh-huh. And did you spoke on the phone? Did you write letters?
Yes, letters and cards.
Do you still have the letters and cards?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah.
A big smile on your face. Perfect teeth. That's great. When's the last time you saw the letters and cards? Did the kids seen them?
I think so. I think we showed them to the kids. We have them. Lily is the record keeper, so I have to ask her where she keeps them, but I know they're there.
Yeah, that's such a great story.
Yeah.
She didn't take them to Florida with her.
I don't think so. I don't know. I'll ask her about that.
Yeah, sweet. Did you take them to Florida? Huh. So what are your dreams for your kids? Would you like it if they pursued a career in tennis or a career on the stage? Or?
I would love whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna force their hand, but I don't want it to be like the case of like, well, I couldn't really make it as a tennis pro, so you have to be a tennis pro, that kind of thing. I mean, I would love it, but I don't know if it's a little too late or whatnot, whatever they want to do. But yes, I don't mind, like if they come and say, well, I want to, be an actor or whatever. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
Right.
Yeah, whatever they want to do.
Sweet. All right, I'm starting to jump around, but I'm curious, how did you get from Cairo to Rochester?
So when I was done with my dental training, just started talking to, a couple of my professors who had done post-grad dental training in the U.S. One of them studied in Indiana, another one in California. And they just walked me through the process of applying. And at that time, there was really no internet or anything. So everything was done via mail, just sent to the admissions department. And they mail you the application and you fill it in, handwritten, send your recommendation letters. Everything was done by air mail. And I got a few interviews. I interviewed in Chicago, Michigan, Boston, and in New York and Rochester.
Had you been to the U.S. before, prior to this?
Actually, no. I have never set foot in the U.S. before 1996.
Right.
October 1996, I remember. That's when I came in for my interviews, and stayed for about a month and a half, going around from California, Chicago, Boston, New York.
And you interviewed at all of these places.
And I interviewed in all these places, and then I got accepted in a couple different places, and New York was one of them, and it was my preferred place to go because the institute where I trained, Eastman Dental Center, it's one of the best universities, and I like the program there, and that's what I started. So
right.
in the summer of 1997, that's when I came in and I started my studies, and I've been living here ever since.
And it must have been some kind of culture shock.
I don't know about the culture shock per se, because I think where I come from in Egypt and our social circle is, I'm not going to say it's identical, but there's a lot of similarities. So it still is the Middle Eastern culture and whatnot, but it does, like, I was aware of the Western culture. Also, having traveled as a kid and playing tennis in Europe, so I was kind of exposed to that before. So it wasn't
right.
like the huge culture shock.
Gotcha.
I think the shock was more like, okay, you're an only child. This is the first time you're away from home. And just having to learn how to, cook and wash and tidy up and, living alone and whatnot. That maybe was and you get homesick.
Right.
But then you get used to it.
Yeah.
And you manage. You survive somehow.
Good for you. Did you ever think that maybe you would move back to Egypt?
To be honest, no. So initially when I came here, the idea was to study and then go back to Egypt. But then couple things happened. One, I met Lily. Number two, there has been a lot of socioeconomic changes in Egypt that started around the time that I left, and I just saw I saw the signs. I was like, this is just going downhill, and I hate to say that, but I really didn't see myself going and practicing there, not just from an economic standpoint, but also culturally. I think the past 25 years or so in Egypt, the social changes have been insane. Again, my circle of friends and relatives, it's becoming smaller and smaller. It's a very close community. So I find myself more and more aligned with living, in the U.S. or Europe or whatever. But
right.
No, I find it really hard to go back to Egypt.
And does your circle there, do they express wistfulness? Do they maybe wish they had come here too?
I think some people who didn't take the steps that I took, they probably, I think they would have wished, they wish they would have done that.
Right. Well, hats off to you for the resolve and the fortitude and the diligence to make it all happen here in a whole new country.
Oh, thank you.
And guess what? We're out of time. I know it always goes by so quickly. A whole hour. Thank you so much for being here. Ahmed Mansour, And everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday evening and a fabulous weekend.
Thank you so much for having me. That was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Me too.
Thanks.